A surge of demonic aura suddenly erupted from Tajia's pupils, spreading rapidly as the shattered demon star disintegrated, quickly enveloping the entire sea of consciousness in Qinglin's mind. It formed a massive vortex centered around Tajia, sweeping outward in all directions. The barren desert sands trembled violently as they were drawn into the vortex, slowly shifting. Even Wang Lin's clothes were tugged by the force, making a rustling sound as they were blown about. However, his white hair remained completely still, and his calm eyes coldly gazed at the ancient demon Tajia. Wang Lin did not intervene when Tajia shattered the demon star. With Qinglin's combined strength, Wang Wei, Hu Wan, Qing Shuang, and Zhou Yi, along with Qinglin's own cultivation, he had granted Wang Lin this immense opportunity. This opportunity was something Wang Lin had never anticipated before. He deeply cherished it, knowing that only through continuous battle would he achieve further understanding. The more he comprehended, the greater the benefits would be. Such an opportunity was fleeting and could not be sought. How much he could grasp depended on his understanding of the Tao and his fortuitous chance. Therefore, he would not allow this battle to end prematurely. The stronger Tajia became, the more desperate he fought, the more Wang Lin would understand during the conflict. At this moment, Tajia's enormous form, still surrounded by the demonic aura from the shattered star, began to shrink. Within an instant, his body reduced to only 100 feet in size, but as it shrank, it grew even more solid, taking on a near-substantial form. I, Tajia, have consumed the ancient demon Beluo, and devoured 3 of my own kin, 3 ancient demons. Using the refining of demons and monsters as a catalyst, I have consolidated the 4 great demonic emotions of anger, sorrow, jealousy, and greed, transforming them into the divine arts of my ancient demon clan. Tajia's body floated, enveloped in demonic aura. His voice echoed like a mournful wail carried by the wind, shaking heaven and earth. The demonic ancient heavenly Tao, for Desire's finger. Tajia's eyes gleamed with a bright light, filled with boundless fury. This rage immediately transformed into endless sorrow, then morphed into frenzied jealousy, and in an instant, it became an insatiable greed that sought to devour the heavens and earth. These 4 emotions cycled rapidly in Tajia's eyes, causing him to raise his right hand. As he did, 4 distinct streams of demonic aura shot out from his eyes and surged towards his right hand. In the blink of an eye, they wrapped around his finger, coalescing as Tajia's right index finger aimed at Wang Lin with immense force. At once, the 4 streams of demonic energy fused into his fingertip, erupting in a terrifying black light. It did not strike directly at Wang Lin, but remained concentrated at the tip of his finger, its power seeming capable of tearing apart heaven and earth. With a thundering sound, the desert that Wang Lin had conjured with his divine powers began to twist and contort, as if it could no longer bear the strain. Tajia's eyes turned a fiery red as his body took a step forward, his left hand pointing skyward as he roared. The heavenly Tao is angry, and those who defy the heavens must suffer its wrath. And I, from the ancient demon clan, shall absorb this wrath of the heavens with my 9 desires finger to defy the very Tao. With these words, the sky immediately filled with an earth-shattering thunderclap. The air turned red as it rushed toward the black light from Tajia's finger, merging with it and intensifying its power. The light began to encompass nearly half of the sky. The heavenly Tao mourns, and its sorrow is the yearning for cultivation. Absorb the sorrow of the Tao, and perfect the divine art of my ancient demon clan. Tajia roared, as countless blue streams of energy began to form, rapidly condensing toward the black light at his fingertip. Heaven envies the talented. Those who cultivate to the 9 heavens will surely face heaven's jealousy. The Tao also grows greedy, coveting the changes of the world's rules, desiring all the heavens and earth for itself. These 4 great heavenly desires, anger, sorrow, jealousy, and greed. Through my life, Tajia, I transform them into the 4 desires finger of the ancient demon clan. Shatter all barriers, destroy gods, slay demons, and annihilate the Tao. Tajia shouted in fury, taking another step forward. His right index finger, now shrouded in black light, aimed directly at Wang Lin. In an instant, a surge of heavenly power appeared above Wang Lin, forming 4 violent storms that rapidly descended from the heavens, converging from all 4 directions. They aimed directly at him. Ancient demon divine arts, indeed remarkable. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he swung his right hand forward. Immediately, a torrent of rain appeared around him, filling the air with a mist that quickly formed a river-like expanse. Though it seemed small, every single drop of rain in this river seemed to create its own miniature world, with each droplet cascading downward like a waterfall. The river of rain circled around Wang Lin's body, and as the 4 whirlwinds drew near, the rain began to rapidly compress, with the river shrinking into a single drop. This was a raindrop as clear as crystal, containing dazzling light within. This single droplet represented the limit of the rain summoning art, yet it was not the limit of Wang Lin's divine ability at this moment. Just as wind summoning surpassed by fan and transformed into 13 black dragons, this droplet now, under Wang Lin's gaze, suddenly compressed once more. A series of thunderous bangs rang out from within the raindrop, and in an instant, the water contracted again. With a crash, it transformed into an invisible vapor. Though the vapor could not be seen, its presence was unmistakably felt. With a wave of Wang Lin's right hand, the intangible vapor instantly spread out in all directions, centered on Wang Lin's body. Gradually, it morphed into 4 nearly identical blue thin swords, spiraling with the vapor as they rushed forward. In the blink of an eye, they collided with the 4 approaching storms. The booming sounds were earth-shattering, and the 4 storms suddenly collapsed. At this moment, the world trembled, and the desert ground seemed to be lifted like a canvas, warping and shattering, reverting to the black ocean it had been before. Wang Lin floated above the ocean, his right hand forming a seal to draw a curve in the air. Immediately, the remaining vapor in the surroundings condensed into 4 blue thin swords before him. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. With a fierce squeeze of his right hand, the 4 swords shattered, splitting into 8, and then again into 16. This cycle continued, and in the blink of an eye, there were 128 thin swords before Wang Lin. With a single wave, all of them rushed toward the ancient demon Tajia. The entire sequence flowed like a calm river, with Wang Lin executing it casually. Yet, to Tajia's eyes, it was nothing short of terrifying. He could hardly believe that his ancient demon 4 Desire's divine ability was being so effortlessly shattered. Seeing the over 100 blue thin swords rushing towards him, Tajia immediately retreated, utilizing the lingering demonic aura in his body, which remained even after his 3-star power shattered. He howled as his hands formed a seal, his eyes burning with madness. With the ancient demon soul, I shall unleash the ancient demon rune. Tajia's hands trembled in an odd fashion. With each tremble, a black wave spread from his hands, and in an instant, thousands of black ripples appeared before him, rushing toward the 100 blue thin swords. Bang! Bang! The sound of impacts echoed as the blue swords trembled under the onslaught of these endless ripples, eventually being pierced through, turning and flying back toward Wang Lin. Tajia staggered backward, his hands trembling even more violently, yet his eyes burned with even greater madness. The demonic runes consumed his ancient demon soul, and he would never use them unless absolutely necessary. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled. He took a step forward, directly stepping into the incoming ripples. If viewed from above, one could clearly see the entire sea surface covered in swirling black ripples, an awe-inspiring sight. Within the ripples, Wang Lin immediately sensed their destructive power, which targeted the primordial spirit, capable of inflicting great damage. Even a slight weakness could lead to immediate collapse. If you were at the 9 stars level, these demonic soul runes might affect me, but right now, Wang Lin shook his head and took a step forward. The step landed right between 2 ripples, and as he walked, he passed through them without even a trace of contact. His body seemed to be invisible. Even when ripples came close, they simply passed through him. Rule body. That Qing Lin even passed down the concept of the rule body for you to comprehend. Tajia retreated rapidly, but before he could get far, Wang Lin took another step forward. His right hand casually pointed forward. Freeze. With this point, the laws of the heavens descended, and invisibly, they caused Tajia's body to come to an abrupt halt, as though trapped in mid-air. Wang Lin approached, gently tapping his right hand against Tajia's forehead. With a crash, demonic energy surged from behind Tajia, violently spilling out as a vast black mist, like a destructive wave, retreating relentlessly. Tajia screamed as his body was thrown out, yet his physical restraint remained, preventing him from making any movements. Even channeling his demonic energy was impossible. Shattered Star. Wang Lin, close to the ancient demon, followed his movements, his right hand forming a finger and calmly pressing it against the demon's body. With a single point, a torrent of demonic energy poured out from the ancient demon's body. Not shattered yet. In the blink of an eye, amidst the thunderous sounds, Wang Lin pressed 7 more times, sending Tajia's body flying 7 more times, but each time, Wang Lin was right behind, pointing a finger. After the 7th time, the ancient demon's demonic energy had almost been completely drained. Fear and unwillingness flashed in Tajia's eyes, and the 5 demonic stars left in his pupils exploded in an instant. Wang Lin smiled. His right finger, which was about to point, retracted as his body floated backward like drifting clouds. His slow, deliberate movements earlier were all part of the plan, allowing this ancient demon's shattered star to unleash its most powerful force, proving Wang Lin's understanding of the Tao. Tajia's ancient demon star marks in his pupils shattered in an instant, and a wave of aura, countless times stronger than before, exploded from his body. With a roar, he easily broke free from the restraints of the body immobilization art. This is what you forced me into. Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. 9-star Ancient Demon Divine Art. Violet Qi Demon Calamity. At this moment, Tajia had already lost to Qing Lin. He no longer had any right to claim Qing Lin's body. What awaited him was nothing but death. But Tajia's unwillingness meant that even in death, he would drag Wang Lin down with him. Even if he perished, he would unleash the strongest techniques of the ancient demon clan. At this moment, Wang Lin could have interfered with Tajia, killing him before his strongest divine art erupted. But he didn't. Whether for his own path of cultivation or out of respect for the ancient clan, he chose to give Tajia enough time to use a divine art that even he was excited and eager to witness. Amid Tajia's roars and howls, his body solidified once more, transforming into a size comparable to an ordinary person. However, this body, seemingly as solid as reality itself, was filled with an overwhelming power. With his pitch-black body, the demon horns on his head, and his crimson eyes, Tajia emanated an aura so terrifying that it shook the heavens and earth. Violet Qi. Tajia growled, and the black demonic aura around him immediately changed color. In an instant, more than half of it turned violet, swirling around his body. With both hands raised, his fingers interlaced in front of him, forming a diamond shape. The violet aura surged out and rushed towards the diamond pattern. In the blink of an eye, a violet diamond sparkled in his hands. Demon Calamity. Tajia roared, and a vortex appeared on his forehead. A demonic soul flew out from within, directly entering the diamond. This caused the diamond to flash with brilliant light. Die! Tajia lunged forward, pushing both hands toward Wang Lin with immense force. The violet diamond immediately shot forward like lightning, heading straight for Wang Lin. At first, the diamond was only the size of a palm, but the moment it flew, it expanded rapidly, eventually covering the sky as it descended toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression changed slightly. He slowly closed his eyes, feeling the force of the violet Qi demon calamity around him. He clearly noticed that once the diamond-shaped calamity surrounded his body, it immediately separated him from the world around him, creating a complete divide. At the same time, the diamond rapidly shrank, and wherever it passed, everything in the world seemed to crumble and collapse. It continued to draw nearer to Wang Lin. Such a pity. The violet Qi isn't dense enough. Wang Lin shook his head. As he opened his eyes, the diamond of the violet Qi demon calamity was less than 3 inches from him. From a distance, one could no longer see Wang Lin. Instead, there was an enormous purple diamond, leaving behind an afterimage as it contracted around Wang Lin's body. It seemed like, at any moment, it could divide and shatter both Wang Lin and the world. Mountain collapse, Wang Lin whispered. As soon as the words left his mouth, a mountain suddenly rose from his body, roaring as it shot toward the sky. It wasn't just one mountain. After it surged upward, a second peak extended from it, then a third. In the blink of an eye, 9 towering mountains appeared around Wang Lin. The violet diamond immediately stopped shrinking, seemingly pushed back by the force of the mountains. However, the power of the violet chi demon calamity far exceeded anything Tajia had unleashed before. It subtly began to clash with the 9 mountains, causing them to crack under the strain. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he softly spoke. Collapse. With a thunderous roar, all 9 mountains immediately shattered, turning into volcanic eruptions. The explosion collided with the violet diamond, creating a shockwave that shook the heavens, lifting the earth around Wang Lin. As the collapse subsided, Wang Lin slowly walked out, his gaze fixed on the ancient demon in the distance, whose face was filled with despair, yet laced with deep unwillingness. All of this is not your power. It was merely the result of Qing Lin's will in his sea of consciousness, merging with you and transmitting the Tao to temporarily grant you the cultivation you possess. If this were outside of the sea of consciousness, without Qing Lin's will to support you, I could crush you like an ant. Tajia howled in defiance, the coldness of Qing Lin's plans sinking into his heart. No matter what, he never expected Qing Lin's scheme to be not to eliminate his demon soul with a stronger being, but to pull the savior into his sea of consciousness. Within Qing Lin's sea of consciousness, though most of it had already been overtaken by the ancient demon, it still fundamentally belonged to Qing Lin. It could shift and transform at his will. However, with the ancient demon's presence and Qing Lin's essence spirit being invaded, those transformations were powerless to harm the intruder. Yet, to abandon control over one's own sea of consciousness, to entrust it, along with one's soul, to another in order to pass on the Tao concept, was tantamount to handing over one's very life. In doing so, Qing Lin gave Wang Lin the reins to a realm that could morph with his thoughts, capable of mimicking heaven and earth, simulating all laws. In this extraordinary moment, Wang Lin had gained the power of the third step. Though ancient demon Tajia understood clearly that all of this was temporary, after all, it wasn't Wang Lin's soul. Forcefully seizing another's sea of consciousness would not last. Sooner or later, Wang Lin would weaken. Once outside Qing Lin's sea of consciousness, he would immediately revert to his original state. But that knowledge meant little now. Tajia, the ancient demon, couldn't last much longer. Qing Lin, you've won. Tajia's face twisted with bitterness, but it was soon replaced by ferocity. Yet this demon still has one final divine art. With the last breath of my life as ancient demon Tajia, I shall unleash the most powerful technique of the ancient demon clan. Even if I perish, I regret nothing. Tajia let out a savage laugh as he shot toward the sky. With arms outstretched, his body became shrouded in demonic aura. Then, under Wang Lin's gaze, exploded with a thunderous blast. Genesis, primordial demon path. Tajia's voice echoed down from the heavens in the instant of his destruction. At the same time, the sky darkened in the blink of an eye as waves of thick demonic clouds surged across it, plunging the world into darkness. Within that inky sky, a pair of sinister eyes slowly appeared. Then, one pair after another, all nearly identical, emerged from the roiling black mist. Hundreds, thousands, all locking their gaze onto Wang Lin. The scene defied description in its strangeness. For the first time, Wang Lin's expression changed. He looked up, meeting the stare of countless eyes. Your name is Wang Lin. An ancient, timeless voice echoed through heaven and earth. As it spoke, those countless eyes began to show signs of confusion. Wang Lin's eyes remained clear. You began your cultivation at 15. Over 1,000 years have passed since. Yet your fate is cursed. Stepping onto the path of cultivation brought doom to your kin. Your father died, your mother perished, your clan was nearly wiped out. The few survivors are but drops in an endless sea. Your calamity never ends. As the voice continued, the eyes in the sky awakened from their daze, but were filled with a soul-wrenching agony. Wang Lin's body trembled lightly, but his eyes stayed sharp and lucid. Your father and mother died because of you. Your clan perished because of you. The voice resounded. In the heavens, the multitude of eyes turned blood red, as though ready to bleed. Some even exploded outright, bursting into rain like streams of blood. A crimson mist clouded Wang Lin's eyes. His body trembled more violently. Your wife ascended to the heavens because of you. Your child became a soul because of you. All your dearest ones. None remain. Amid crashing sounds, more and more eyes shattered, turning to blood that rained from above. Wang Lin's eyes were entirely bloodshot. His face turned deathly pale. Staggering back several steps, he clutched his chest. Though he was a soul body, he could still feel, with startling clarity, the pain tearing from within. It was a poison, piercing his mind and spirit, eroding all within. Dun Tian showed you grace, and was destroyed. The Vermilion Sacred Emperor aided you, yet vanished. Even Zhou Yi, after meeting you, could not protect the body of his beloved. And the Cloud Immortal couple, they, too, were drawn into your fate. Only now, by some miracle, is there hope for saving Qinglin. The ancient voice spoke slowly, but each sentence was laden with supreme laws, as though each phrase was a divine art crashing onto Wang Lin, making his pallor ever more ghastly. Have you said enough? Wang Lin murmured, retreating. On any normal day, these words would have meant nothing. But now, for some reason, each one pierced him, ripping at his soul. You. The voice began again, but Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. His expression was eerily calm, an icy chill of death in his gaze. I asked you, have you said enough? His voice was cold, devoid of emotion. Wang Lin charged forward, his right hand slashing through the air. At once, the countless eyes in the sky shattered with a thunderous roar. Immortal arts, falling star. A whisper sounded as a beam of starlight descended from the sky, piercing through layers of black mist and landing in the sea below. Following this, streaks of starlight, resembling swords, emerged from unknown origins and swiftly penetrated the mist, while, beneath the waters, fragments of the starry sky erupted forth, soaring into the ninth heaven. In an instant, starlight enveloped the surroundings, and with Wang Lin's arms waving, this starlight suddenly twisted back, accompanied by a series of thunderous collapse sounds, all rushing towards the black mist in the sky. Upon impact, they generated an indescribable ripple shockwave, obliterating everything in their path. At that moment, Wang Lin's body collapsed, as Wang Wei, Hu Wan, Zhou Yi, and Qing Shuang all manifested, their forms flickering into existence, and standing beside them was Qinglin, who, despite appearing in his youth, wore a look of deep contemplation. As the sea of consciousness shattered, their figures gradually merged into the dissipating fragments and disappeared one by one. In the Renegade Immortal realm, within the floating azure light hall amidst the pitch-black void, Situnin cautiously observed the hall's entrance, occasionally glancing at the people within the array, a growing sense of urgency swelling in his heart. The silver-clad female corpse remained the same, her gaze fixed on Wang Lin as if frozen in time. At that moment, Wang Lin, seated in meditation, shuddered slightly and slowly opened his eyes. Quietly, he rose and walked over to the hall entrance, gazing silently into the abyss outside. In truth, they had lost their homes and could only float silently in the endless void, eternally. Within the array, Qinglin opened his eyes, revealing the wear of ages. The once illustrious immortal emperor now looked like an old man, despite his youthful appearance. Yet, at this moment, he emanated an aura of awakening mixed with a deep sense of decay. Qing Shuang also awoke, glancing at the wound on her right arm, her brows knitting together. As she moved, it felt as though she had slumbered for far too long, and she found herself unaccustomed to the sensations of her physical body upon waking. Wang Wei and Hu Wan, seated cross-legged and pale, also gradually opened their eyes. Wang Wei's expression was filled with excitement as he immediately knelt on the ground, respectfully and tremblingly gazing at Qinglin. Master, Master, it's you. Hu Wan similarly looked anxiously at Qinglin, biting her lip tightly. Qinglin offered a slight smile, taking a careful look at his former beloved disciples, and softly said, "You've worked hard all these years." "Master." Wang Wei trembled violently, tears streaming down his cheeks. He had waited countless years for this moment, all for the sake of his master's awakening, which led him to reside for years in the land of demonic spirits. It was only due to the grace of immortal Emperor Qinglin who had taken him as a disciple. Wang Wei would never forget that in the immortal realm years ago, he was merely a nameless qi refiner. It was his master who had given him a new life, helped him ascend to peak cultivation, and bestowed upon him eternal happiness. At this moment, Zhou Yi also opened his eyes, staring blankly at Qin Shuang beside him. Although his heart was filled with bitterness and sadness, tranquility overshadowed these emotions. "Predecessor Qinglin, I have a request." Wang Lin pulled his gaze from the void and focused on Qinglin. "Are you speaking as a junior or as a disciple of this old man?" Qinglin's calm gaze fell upon Wang Lin. "Master, this person is a dear friend to me. He has a mortal poison in his body." Wang Lin paused momentarily and pointed towards Situ Nan, who had been observing intently, and respectfully continued. Qinglin's expression remained unchanged as he scanned Situ Nan with a slow gaze. "Such remarkable talent. Do you wish to become my disciple?" Despite Situ Nan's arrogance, standing before Qinglin stripped him of the calm demeanor Wang Lin exhibited. He felt an overwhelming respect, having not participated in the full effort to save Qinglin. Stunned, he hesitated for a moment before respectfully saying, "I pay my respects to you, master." Just as he finished, Situ Nan raised his head and added, "But master, my personality is free-spirited, so please do not restrict my freedom." That last remark elicited a hearty laugh from Qinglin, who replied, "Once you've detoxified, you are free to do as you wish. What is there for me to restrict?" With that, Qinglin shook his head, his expression kind as he stood, placing his right hand on his daughter Qin Shuang's shoulder, softly saying, "Qin Shuang, lend me a bit of your immortal power." As he spoke, a powerful suction force suddenly emanated from Qinglin's right hand, causing a surge of immortal power from Qin Shuang's body to flow towards him. Though it was just a thread of immortal power, it was minuscule compared to the immortal power Wang Lin had possessed before, but in Qinglin's right hand, it transformed into a blinding golden light. Though not immense, this light instantly enveloped the grand hall, turning the previously azure light hall into a radiant golden glow, shining as bright as the sun. Qinglin's expression remained calm as he slowly walked forward, stepping out from the grand hall. His entire figure hovered in the void, gazing at drifting fragments of stone in the distance. His eyes lingered on what was once a paradise in his memory, his home, now reduced to ruins, and within his gaze surfaced both sorrow and bitter nostalgia. At this moment, most of the immortal realm had already collapsed. Even those fragments of land that had not entirely disintegrated were in the midst of falling apart, fragmented and unstable. It seemed it would not be long before the immortal realm vanished completely, becoming nothing more than a memory among cultivators. And in another tens of thousands of years, perhaps even that memory would fade, lost entirely to time. With a soft sigh, the golden light on Qinglin's right hand swept forward. At once, the radiance flowed out, erupting into a blazing brilliance that rose like a true sun, illuminating the entire void and casting its glow across all things. Within that golden light, strands of golden threads began to appear from thin air. These threads wove themselves into an intricate web, rapidly expanding in all directions. Within this net shimmered the rules of heaven and earth themselves, while the golden light brimmed with a vitality that nourished all living beings. As the golden threads and light spread, the entire immortal realm was immediately enveloped. The fragmented continents halted their collapse. Even the drifting stones froze in midair. The whirlpools born of the realm's collapse ceased their endless spinning in that same instant, falling completely still. Reforging the immortal realm. Qinglin's voice was soft, yet every word rang clearly in the ears of those emerging behind him from the grand hall. Wang Wei and Huan trembled as they heard him, eyes filled with reverence as they looked upon Qinglin. Qin Shuang stared at her father's back, expressionless. From her earliest memories, her father had been a pillar supporting the immortal realm. Too occupied to play with her, immersed entirely in cultivation and the affairs of the realm. She still remembered clearly the day the immortal realm collapsed. She knew it had been her father's life's work. And yet, witnessing its destruction, Qinglin hadn't shown grief. Instead, there had been a trace of release in his eyes. Her feelings were tangled, too complex for even herself to untangle. But now, seeing her father reforging the immortal realm, an inexplicable ache surfaced in Qing Shuang's heart. Zhou Yi silently observed her. When he saw the pain flicker across her face, his own heart trembled faintly in response. As Qinglin finished speaking, the golden net woven of light abruptly contracted after covering the entire realm. At the same moment, the golden brilliance surged inward, and gradually, the rain immortal realm's whirlpools faded away in complete silence. Scattered debris began to draw together, pulled by a mysterious force of heaven and earth. The fragments moved closer to one another, gathering around the remaining isles of land, forming a brand new continent within the void. Now, in the vast emptiness of the rain realm, only a single floating continent remained. Dense immortal chi pulsed from it, while the golden threads coiled gently across its surface. As the light fell to the barren ground, green grass began to sprout, and streams of water emerged from nothingness. With rumbling echoes, mountains rose high into the skies, and majestic palaces materialized one after another. The Rain Realm's sacred hall, which had been behind Wang Lin, slowly drifted toward the new continent. With a thunderous boom, it landed at its heart. From this day forward, this shall be the new Rain Immortal Realm. Qinglin's voice echoed gently, resounding across heaven and earth. Wang Lin sat atop a high mountain in this new realm, feeling the surge of immortal qi around him. The awe-inspiring golden light that had radiated from Qinglin's hands still lingered in his mind. He had felt, with perfect clarity, the transformation of rules and the pulse of origin power. 3 days had passed since the birth of the new Rain Immortal Realm. Situ Nin had been brought into the sacred hall by Qinglin, while Wang Wei and Huan had chosen a palace nearby and settled in peacefully. Wang Wei's joyful expression was obvious. His happiness was Huan's happiness. The couple's bond was something Wang Lin genuinely envied, a kind of bliss rare in the cultivation world. Thinking of that happiness, Wang Lin turned his gaze to the distance. Before him, shrouded in immortal clouds, loomed an icy mountain emanating cold mist. Atop that mountain was Qing Shuang. Qing Shuang's nature was frigid and aloof. She rarely spoke, even to her father, and only Huan could draw more than a few words from her. Now that the new Rain Immortal Realm had been born, behind him, the silver-clad female corpse sat quietly, her gaze occasionally landing on Wang Lin before swiftly moving away. For the past 3 days that Wang Lin had been sitting here, the only thing that echoed in his mind, besides the golden light rule from Qinglin, was the realization he had experienced within Qinglin's sea of consciousness. He had been constantly engraving these insights into his heart. His cultivation level, after leaving the sea of consciousness, had not seen any immediate breakthrough. He was still at the early stage of pure nirvana. However, within his body, there had sprouted a seed, the seed of the third step, a seed that related to the rules, the Tao, and the pursuit of transcendence. This was the gift of fate that Qinglin had given him. Years ago, when heaven-defying first opened, Wang Lin had glimpsed the third step beneath the heaven-defying gate. But back then, he had only seen it. Now, the gift of fate from Qinglin allowed him to experience the divine power of the third step, which was extremely precious to Wang Lin, clarifying his path forward. In the midst of this continuous realization, a voice filled with weariness reverberated through his mind. Wang Lin, come see me. Wang Lin glanced at the Rain Realm's sacred hall, stood up, and stepped forward calmly, making his way toward the hall. Soon, he arrived and entered. As soon as he stepped inside, Wang Lin paused for a moment. In front of him, an elder was sitting cross-legged. His appearance was vaguely similar to Qinglin's, and upon closer inspection, it was clear that this was immortal Emperor Qinglin. However, his face seemed inexplicably aged. Sit, Qinglin said slowly. Wang Lin crossed his legs and sat opposite Qinglin, his expression calm. Though we are not yet at the end of our road, it is time for me to go into seclusion and heal. I've also learned from your senior brother, Wang, about the current situation in the Kunxu star domain. It's a chaotic mess. From now on, this Rain Realm will become the domain of my Qinglin lineage. The Rain Realm gate is now sealed, and no one will be able to enter again. If you have friends or family, you can bring them here to rest and recover. Once I fully restore my cultivation, we will recreate the glory of the immortal realm together, Qinglin said calmly, his gaze meeting Wang Lin's. Wang Lin remained silent for a long time before softly speaking. Master, are you aware of the ancient gods? Qinglin's gaze remained as usual, and he nodded slightly. Do you think you can resist the 8-star ancient gods, the royal clan? Wang Lin asked, his voice still soft. Upon hearing the words royal clan, Qinglin pondered for a moment, then said solemnly, You're probably referring to the ancient god 2C from Vermilion Bird Star. Wang Lin was not surprised. After all, Qinglin was an immortal emperor, and 2C had existed before in the immortal realm. Qinglin surely knew of him. At my peak, I never considered him a threat. But due to some special reasons, I never went to confront him. Now, I only have the strength of a single strike. Even he will retreat under my one blow. One strike. Wang Lin bitterly smiled, understanding the implication of Qinglin's words. Qinglin had been severely wounded, and now, he only had the power for a single strike, a strike meant for deterrence, not for actual combat. If it were used, even if the enemy retreated, danger would loom in the future. I've been entangled with the ancient demon Tajia for too long. The Outer Realm passage is opening soon, and I must quickly regain my peak cultivation. Otherwise, my sealed realm will fade into nothingness. But if you need me, I can still use my single strike for you, Qinglin said after a long pause, his voice calm but heavy. Wang Lin shook his head and looked at Qinglin, saying, Master, what exactly happened in the immortal realm all those years ago? This question had been in Wang Lin's heart for over 1,000 years, and he had never known the answer. A cold light flashed in Qinglin's eyes, and bitterness soon followed. Everything, it all began because of the Gate of Ascension, Qinglin said, unwilling to speak more, and raised his head, his expression growing more complex. In your master's cave, I saw the Rune clan's sacred ancestor. Wang Lin lowered his head and spoke slowly. Do you believe her? Qinglin asked softly after a long silence. Wang Lin did not respond. The struggle between the outer realm and the sealed realm has lasted far too long. All of this, you will eventually know in time. Qinglin sighed deeply, ending the conversation on that topic. Go and bring your friends and family. In this Rain Realm, with me here, I can ensure their safety, Qinglin said, gazing warmly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin nodded, hesitated for a moment, then raised his right hand, reaching into the air. A crack appeared in front of him, and from within, a crystal coffin slowly floated out. Master, do you recognize this coffin? Wang Lin asked nervously, his eyes fixed on Qinglin. In reality, his rescue of Qinglin, aside from the poison of Situ Nan and Zhou Yi's wishes, had another purpose. Information about this coffin. Qinglin's gaze sharpened. He could naturally see Wang Lin's nervousness. After carefully inspecting the coffin, he pondered for a moment and nodded. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Heaven Avoidance coffin. Wang Lin's mind shook, and his breath quickened. The Avoidance Heaven coffin is not an artifact from the 4 great immortal realms, but rather from the ancient immortal domain. According to rumors, this coffin can bring the dead back to life, though that's merely a legend. However, if one knows the incantation to operate the Avoidance Heaven coffin, it is indeed possible to revive the broken soul. But I do not know this incantation. Qinglin's words gave Wang Lin a glimmer of hope, yet at the same time, they crushed his hopes. It was as if a heavy hammer had struck his chest. His face grew pale, and bitterness appeared on his face. If even Qinglin didn't know the incantation, who in this world could? However, Qinglin glanced at Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a deep breath, staring blankly at Qinglin, his hope reigniting in his eyes. I once heard that the Avoidance Heaven coffin first appeared in the Flash Immortal Realm, and it belonged to Immortal Emperor Xixia. At the time, her cultivation was second only to mine, even surpassing by Fan. When the Flash Immortal Realm collapsed, She might still be alive, or perhaps some of her legacy remains. If you can find her, you may be able to learn the incantation for the avoidance heaven coffin. Even if you can't find her, it's fine. Once my cultivation is restored, I will certainly help you. Wang Lin stood up and cupped his fists. He was content with such an answer. Go ahead. Bring those who are important to you here. All I can do for you is ensure their safety, Qing Lin said, his expression weary. As he spoke, he raised his right hand and waved it in front of him. Immediately, a rune flickered and fell into Wang Lin's palm, merging into his body. When you return, activate this rune. Wang Lin nodded, glancing at Qing Lin before putting away the avoidance heaven coffin and turning to leave. In the starry sky of the Alliance star domain, the figures of cultivators, once bustling and constantly traveling, had disappeared. Almost all cultivators from various forces had gathered on the distant vermilion bird star. At this moment, a long rainbow flashed through the starry sky. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he sped forward. Qing Lin's awakening and the appearance of the new Renegade Immortal realm, though they didn't resolve Wang Lin's crisis, at least removed his worries. Sending all those close to him to the Renegade Immortal realm, and with Qing Lin's promise, Wang Lin felt reassured. He hadn't intended to have Qing Lin intervene in his battle with Tuasan. Doing so might temporarily remove the threat of Tuasan, but as Qing Lin had said, it would only defeat him, not kill him, so it wouldn't have much of an effect. Everything still depends on myself. Wang Lin understood that despite having saved Qing Lin, when facing true danger, no one could help him. In this world, he had no real family. If he did, there was only one person. Wang Lin clearly remembered that when his mind opened with the heavenly reversal in the land of demonic spirits and spread across the entire star domain, he had seen Zhou Ru in the Kunxu realm. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, and as his body moved, ripples spread beneath his feet, disappearing in an instant. When he appeared again, he had traversed endless starry skies and arrived at an ordinary place outside the savage star. The star looked unremarkable from afar, but Wang Lin knew that this was the teleportation array leading to the Kunxu realm. Whether it was sending out the jade slip from the old sacred emperor or taking Zhou Ru away, Wang Lin had to come to the Kunxu realm, even though he was unwilling to face Mu Bingmei. Looking at the distant planet, Wang Lin sighed quietly, but his body didn't stop. He charged directly into the planet's astral wind layer, breaking through all barriers to land on the star. Following the direction he had seen in his mind back then, Wang Lin transformed into a long rainbow and headed for the array. However, just as his divine sense detected the array's location, four powerful auras erupted, surrounding Wang Lin and stopping his progress. At the same time, a cold voice echoed through the heavens and earth. This is a forbidden area. If you take one more step, no matter where you come from, you will be annihilated in both body and soul. Wang Lin furrowed his brow and stopped, cupping his fists. I, Wang, did not come to fight, but to deliver a jade slip from the old sacred emperor of the vermilion bird to the Kunxu realm. The divine auras surrounding him slightly relaxed, and the cold voice spoke again. Leave the jade slip and get lost. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He clearly sensed that these four auras belonged to Glimpse of Nirvana cultivators. The fact that Glimpse of Nirvana cultivators were guarding the gates showed just how profound the foundation of the Kunxu realm was. It was no weaker than any force in the Alliance star domain. However, these four cultivators were being too arrogant. Though they had sensed Wang Lin was a pure Nirvana cultivator, they still spoke this way. Clearly, for countless years, unless one was a shattered Nirvana cultivator, no one had ever made these guards show any courtesy. Wang Lin had no good feelings toward the Kunxu realm, but his purpose for coming here was to take Zhou Ru away. After a brief silence, Wang Lin suppressed the fire in his heart and calmly cupped his fists. Besides the jade slip, I want to meet Mu Bingmei. As soon as these words left his mouth, laughter echoed from all directions, and the cold voice resounded once more. To enter the Kunxu realm, you need an invitation token. Do you have one? Wang Lin furrowed his brows and calmly said, Without an invitation token, I must trouble you. Before Wang Lin could finish, the cold voice immediately interrupted, carrying a tone of impatience. No invitation token, no entry. The cold light in Wang Lin's eyes grew even more intense, but he suppressed it once again and cupped his hands, saying, "I must trouble you to pass on a message. Just tell them. No time. Let me say this one last time. Get out, immediately." For the second time, Wang Lin's words were interrupted, and the cold voice came through with a chilling tone. A murderous aura rose from Wang Lin's body, and killing intent surged in his eyes. After a moment of silence, he suppressed his anger once more and calmly said, "I must trouble you to pass on a message. Just tell them Wang Lin is here. If you have the guts, come yourself." The voice was filled with impatience. If it hadn't been for noticing Wang Lin's pure nirvana cultivation level, the speaker wouldn't have shown any politeness. Otherwise, they would have already acted to drive him away. Wang Lin smiled in anger. He really didn't expect that the 4 cultivators guarding the teleportation array in the Kunxu realm would be this arrogant. Good, good. Cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he took a step forward. With a wave of his right hand, a sea of fire immediately erupted in the sky, turning the heavens into a crimson sea, and the flames rained down like a torrential storm. He shifted his body and appeared 100 meters away. Pointing forward with his right hand, the fire sea surged toward the target, and the space before him instantly warped. A white-haired old man, his face darkened, hurriedly flickered into view. At the same time, the surrounding space twisted once again, and the other 3 cultivators simultaneously materialized.